I'm here, I'm listening. In English, it doesn't have to be in Chinese, I would understand.
Well, I guess first and foremost, congratulations to the CLL and by extension the university on embarking on this project and this initiative, on seeing a need, and hopefully that it will get the kind of support it needs, both not just financially, but also human resource, because you'll need persons to go out there and reach those who are not accessible via technology, to get into those towns and villages that where you will actually probably have that little child who is speaking both Spanish and English, but is not in the big city limelight, so to speak. So hopefully that support will come, and that it will come sooner rather than later. Hopefully as well, CSO will be back up and running at its full complement, so that they can work hand in hand with you all in getting the information and the data. In terms, my question, I guess, or comment, I don't know how to phrase it, but I have a cousin, and I also had a colleague who would have studied translatory studies, or translation studies,
yes,
in England and Scotland. Well, Leslie, because she teaches Spanish.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yes.
this is
Right.
yeah.
And I know it's hard for them, like when they return home, to get adequate jobs. So you're always dependent sort of on somebody who knows somebody, and you hear, well, this one needs a document translated, or that one needs something translated and stuff like that. Is there like a network? I know you spoke about the person from the bureau or translation bureau or whatever, but how big is that bureau or unit? And is there a network to say, is that person linked up throughout the country? Because how many people know about it? Do they advertise to say they're looking for persons and stuff like that? That could be something that could be tapped into, as well as public admin and the whole scholarship thing to have persons study that sort of area abroad. Because, for example, her parents was on the news, the person who was working at the ministry. She worked as an AP, an associate professional. She went to Scotland to study, came back home and couldn't get a job. And her dad was on the in the media, one, because it wasn't seen as I can't remember how they classified that for scholarships and so on, as a
National priority.
one of those national priority
areas.
things, priority areas and stuff like that. And of course he highlighted the case, when we have all these summits and conferences and things like that, we need these people. You have to go and source and look for the persons. So I don't know if that can be an area that can also be looked at in this project, to tap in and sort of like tie up that whole translation thing.
Not as part of the project, but we do have a little bit of this project that was hived off, where we're looking at languages and employability, and looking at the kinds of opportunities people who study languages. But to answer your question, yes, we have a very sound, a very high-performing Caribbean Interpreting and Translation Bureau at UWI. It has been used. It was used for the ACS, the people who work with that. Many of them are freelancers, because you're right, it's not the kind of area where you have a constant demand to have somebody employed full-time. So many of the people in that agency, in that group, are freelancers. This happens in other parts of the world. But the resources there is some local capacity. Depending on the occasion, yes, they also have to import people from abroad. But it is something which is very vibrant. The colleague who is in charge of it is very dynamic. We work very closely with Foreign Affairs. Yes, perhaps, as in so much else at UWI, we need to make it known more. People who have a need perhaps would have found out about it, but if you don't have a need, you might not be aware. But it is one of our rich, well-structured, high-performing units, and they have worked, people employed by the Bureau have worked the Competitiveness Forum, the Summit of the Americas, all of those things you call on our staff, people who work as freelancers. They do both translation, which is printed documents, and they do as well interpreting. And at UWI we actually have a diploma in conference interpreting, and we do have students who have graduated and who now work with the Bureau. And our language capacity at UWI is very good. We have produced very sound graduates. Just recently I had a meeting with someone who is the French diplomat in charge of cultural cooperation based in St. Lucia, and I was saying to him, we have had graduates of our French program, we know for French, Spanish, I'm sure the same applies, who have been accepted at AZIT. AZIT is what the French call une grande école, so it's a graduate school for translating and interpreting. And there are people from Trinidad and Tobago who have topped the class in those places. We have a student now who's at the UN, coming out of UWI, living in France, going to ACET, and then being recruited at the UN in New York. So there is, we do have some capacity of people at that high level. We have tried to capture it and canalize it and to make it, to monetize it, as my principal is fond of saying, by having a professional organization, a professional institute located at UWI. But I agree with you that, as in many things, we could do more to make it known. Yes.
Temporarily at OPM. And I remember one of the advisors here saying, this is when we were preparing for the state visit of the Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
And we were in a flurry looking around for persons we wanted to get competent people to, as you were talking about, translate documents. And he was saying, it'd be such a great thing if we just have a bank of people that we can just call on all the time to prepare our own documents. So, because the Chinese are coming very, very quick.
With their human resource.
Yes, coming very, very quick. So that we don't have to come, many times we depend on them too to help us out in translations and preparing documents. So you were saying it would be so good if we just have this bank of people that we can always have them met with. And it's only after, because I am also a past scholarship person, and I understand the difficulty having gone through the system. The process of the scholarship. So we want to invite students to take up language, if not at UWI, to go to China and study Chinese and everything. But the process in itself makes it very, very difficult, because scholarship division doesn't tell you you need to apply to university first and get an acceptance. So that's one thing. So by the time they put the ad out and the time frame in which you have to apply, it's so narrow that you don't have time to meet the deadline, and it's impossible to submit all the necessary documents. And then, so quite often, many scholarships are offered. I remember the past ambassador of this one we have now, I forget his name right now, but he was saying that they had offered many scholarships, but they were not being taken up. And that is the problem. The problem is in the process. So I'm trying to draw a link between getting human resource up to speed with what we are attempting to utilize at this end. There must be some kind of interconnection. You want the human resource, yes, but you have to make the process a little more involved. Not so difficult to access. You're talking about accessing data. You may have the data, but if you can't access it, then you value. So we have these scholarships available, but if you can't access it in a timely manner, all the students are interested in it. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I liked what what she said about the website being in Spanish. I was talking to her before this actually started, and I was complimenting her and telling her I knew about Miss Panama coming and you were opening in Panama and all that. And I've been to the conference there as well. And I remember meeting Trini Cardino. And he just took it upon himself to go because he wanted to make some connections. He didn't ask for help from anybody. And I met him there, a guy from Central. And he was having great difficulty because he couldn't speak Chinese. And he was looking for somebody to help him, you know? So, I don't know, I'm not sure how we can bridge that gap. Because I know that there is some kind of legislation that will take place, but how we can bridge that gap to our nationals who would like to open up to China and vice versa. We have issues, and I remember when I was there shopping as a student, you're living a little bit of money, yeah? So you go to the grocery and you're looking for things that you feel you can recognize. There's nothing in English, and you're not sure what the product is, and you're looking for something similar to Milo or similar, and you're not finding it, or cornflakes, and you're not seeing it. So labelings and stuff like that, if we could, simple things like that we can expose our nationals to how to package our stuff, it makes it a little easier. And my last thing, my last professor, I remember calling you one day, 2 years ago. She had told me that they were opening some Caribbean, I don't know if you heard about it or not, some Caribbean cultural center in Beijing. And she said that they got interested in coming with that, but they were looking for nationals, native speakers. And so I said, who are you getting this started? She said, well, it's all started by Chinese right now. And I found it really funny that a Caribbean cultural center is staffed by Chinese. So she was asking me if I didn't want to interested, but anytime I had so much handling and so much going through, and it was not on the feet. But there is a lot of there's a lot of room, I think, that we can really look at in terms of putting Trinidad out there. We are smart people. When I came, I met Ilan, and I heard that Ilan speaks some Chinese and everything, okay? Because I have a love for Chinese, passionate about. I went to China before being sent there. And it's a new culture and so many different things you have to do. You gave me props that I don't deserve just now. Don't deserve just now. But it's a new cultural difference. You don't do business like everybody else, and you have to learn it, you know, like it's almost become like family and the little things that you need to know, you know. So I am here to learn, and those are my little suggestions with the scholarship thing, because that is problem that definitely needs to be fixed. Definitely needs to be fixed, but that's my contribution.
Thank you. The scholarship thing, I know, I had that talk with the former ambassador. What was the former ambassador? Yang Yomi.
That's right.
And he would say China has so many scholarships, and he was saying to us things like 180 people are going from Antigua and Barbuda, and 2 from Trinidad.
Process.
Right? One of the things we have done at UWI, the Confucius Institute, which is the Confucius Institute, if you understand how the Alliance Française works, and the Goethe Institute, the Germans have, but the Alliance Française people know what the Venezuela Institute. So it is funded by China to promote, to facilitate exchange between China and countries around the world. And we have welcomed the Confucius Institute because I think there is this recognition of you that we need to do more for Chinese. Herming has been on staff. She is here through an MOU with China. She has been teaching at the CLL for 3 years. But the Confucius Institute gives us additional resources to reach out and engage with Trinidad and Tobago around the Chinese language and culture. And one of the things we're hoping to do through the Confucius Institute is really become a portal for things related to China, whether it is the scholarships, whether it is whatever, helping businessmen in trade, okay? The Confucius Institute has a mandate and a volition to do that kind of thing as well. So it is supposed to be a resource when we get our website really up and going, that you could click if you have internet access, if you're so inclined, you can click on the website and perhaps get some of this kind of information freely available and accessible. So we are thinking about ways to help our encounter and our engagement with China a little better. But yes, I agree. There are so many deficiencies and there's so many areas that you feel we could do better. We have simply tried to highlight a few and to look at a few and to see how we could change. But certainly, if you are in the business of trade, you do need your products translated into Mandarin. You do need them displaying information in a way that is culturally appropriate. You do need that kind of guidance, and we're hoping that through various, because I've talked to you now about 3 things we're doing at you. The Center for Language Learning is into teaching languages. We are doing that. We have the Caribbean Interpreting and Translating Bureau, which is a business unit, which is about selling services in interpreting and translating. We are doing that. I have talked to you about the Confucius Institute, which is a bilateral organization with inputs from China and inputs from Trinidad and Tobago /UAE to help promote exchange and interaction. So actually on campus we have 3 units that have answers and have resources. But as you say, we have to get the word out there. This is part of that, getting the word out there, because we don't have all we need, but we have some of what we need, but people simply don't know enough. And this is what I am hoping to do, to start telling people. Contact us, get in touch with us, we can help. Probably can't help all your needs, but we can help some of your needs. And us trying to be proactive and say, this is something that you might be able to think about, this is something that could help you. And the language and competitiveness is really that, distilling that information that 30% of the world's population speak English. Of that 30%, probably 15%, half of the 30 speak it as an additional language. And if you really want to be a world player, unless you're the size of the US and you could say, well, everything has to be in English. But even the US, as I say, the US is officially the 2nd largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. So when you're a little country like ours, you really need to draw on all your resources and all the richness of your population and use what you have. And there's a lot that we have that we are not using.
I really should because you must have me to congratulate you on doing the language on it. After you said it, I was like, wow, this makes so much sense. Because, I don't know, like 2 days ago on one of our weeklies, they published a list of how many persons have applied on overstay, and they gave a whole list in a little box. And I did not realize that we had so many Nigerians, so many Dominican Republicans, so many people.
Yeah.
So I really think that you are definitely going in the right direction with the language on it. And I did not see the connections before you said it about its impact on housing and everything. It's excellent.
I have a student who works at there. I don't know what it's called, the Migration Center. Up there. And she said she did French. She's a social science student who did French. And I said, but what use you have for French? Because, we know Dominican Republic, Colombia, blah, 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 Venezuela. French. And she said to me, there are people from Mali. I said, in Trinidad? You know where Mali is compared to Trinidad? Mali? She said yes. And then she said to me, and I think a colleague Eric said to me, because of Living Waters and their registration as part of the network, people come to Trinidad from wherever with a slip of paper saying Living Waters, and they're making their way all the way from Mali, from Vietnam. We ready from Senegal. We kind of really don't know, you know. And of course there's the negative, because so many of these people are illegal, you know, are not regularized. But we have to we have to know, just out of plain, we need to know. And then, as I'm saying, there's the positive. You can tap into these networks in a more formal way. Because if you have someone who is from Senegal, he may be a small person, but I mean, why not? You could trade with that country. You can trade with X or Y. You can expand your markets through people like that.